Casey, sorry, you with us?
I'm with you. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I lost power.
We live in the mountain country, I guess. Oh, you lost power.
I totally, it's happened 2 times in a year and a half of this show. Once we knew it was coming and I had the jackery going. And now this time, and I was not prepared. Everything went down. So sorry.
Hey, it's the life of a radio host and wildlife filmmaker. Got to be ready for the unpredictable.
Good point. All right, so let's get to the cams in the bear den. Now, grizzly bears, we all know they hibernate, they den, they do that for the winter. You had an idea of, I guess, what do bears do in there all winter? And you put up these motion triggered cameras in a known bear den. How did you know about this area, this bear thing? You must have observed bears coming in and out of it. And obviously, I can think of why you would want to know what goes on in there. Who doesn't? How did this idea happen?
Yeah, exactly. Well, grizzlies, when they den, they usually dig their den. And so that den caves in every year and they redig it every single year. But this was a hard rock cave that I just stumbled across, and grizzlies den up real high, 8,000-9,000 feet. And I was actually looking for mountain lions when I found the den. Then I found the den and saw that there was grizzly bear hair. It smelled like grizzly bear in there. So I knew that they were using it as a den at some point. Put the camera in there because exactly, I wanted a glimpse into the secret lives of bears. You just don't see what they're doing half the year inside those dens. And then I forgot about it.
Wait, how did you... Dude, this is the question everybody has on this story. Like, how could you forget about it?
I've had 3 children right after that.
Yeah.
So fathers understand how that goes. I've got, to be honest, I have cameras all over. I've probably, almost 100. And yeah, I just got busy and forgot about it. And then I remembered it. And it was a bit of a logistic nightmare to get there. It's pretty remote. So it wasn't going to be like, I'm just going to run up there for the day. It was going to take some time.
Yeah.
And by the time it came around that I'm like, you know what, I got the time, let's go try. It was, 10 years later. And I thought, the odds of that thing still being intact or even being in there is pretty low. And then let alone, be able to find the SD card and everything but it's worth to go look. Right. And so we did. We went up there and looked and didn't know what we were going to find. And sure enough, that camera was not only in the den, but it was still working, which blew my mind.
Golly.
And and the fact that, it was, I think it gives a lot of people give a lot of speculation about like, how does this thing work? There's no way. It's in a controlled environment, it's in a cave. There's the only thing moving in there is when things come in and out. And that's how this camera triggers. It sits in idle mode basically until something moves in front of it. So if you put it out on the trail, there's grass blowing, there's birds flying by, it triggers all the time. But in a cave, it's temperature controlled, which keeps the batteries intact. And there's only when things come in and out. And I'd say based on what I, saw of the 200 and some videos that we did have on there, things were only coming in and out every month, once in a while. And bears came back. They didn't den, but they came and hung out in there. They didn't stay the winter. And then a bunch of other animals came in there too, which was so cool. We had mountain lions and coyotes and marmots and some mysterious animals. One looked like a wolverine. We never could tell for sure. But it was just so cool is that here's this hole in the rock in the mountainside that was a home for at some point in the life of an animal and such a variety of animals. And again, it just was so very cool. And the fact that camera was still there, I'd like to say I was just a patient and it was thought out and on purpose, but it was just a forgetful dad that was being a procrastinator.
That's the ultimate impatience. Let's see what I got gathered over the last 10 years. That's incredible. But you got some incredible stuff. Yes, not just bears, but you got this, marmoty looking thing. Look at this, that very cool mountain lion looking right in the camera, which that reminds me of a question. I'm sharing this photo now and the visual for our listeners and viewers. When it comes to trail cam, stuff that you're not there sitting behind, what intent do you have to make it as unobtrusive as possible? Because one thing I noticed with animals with trail cams is they identify it as something weird. They're like, that doesn't belong, and they'll walk right up to it. Is that okay? Do you want them to do that, or do you try to camouflage it or hide it?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it really depends. Let's be honest. There's nowhere on the planet that an animal lives that it's not encountering some human-made object.
Yeah.
So it becomes just part of their life. And in the areas that, where animals are paranoid, usually it's maybe they're trapped in that area or there's something that they've encountered that has scared them over time. But nowadays, I find more and more animals are pretty forgiving to things like camera traps. And in fact, when you try to hide them sometimes, it actually makes them more paranoid. It sounds funny, but I've done it so many times, especially mountain lions are such a very sight-oriented animal. If it's a little obscure, then it makes them paranoid. But if it's just out there like, here, this is what it is, they're like, oh, that's what it is. It's not scary. I'm fine
Yeah.
with it. So, we always try to put it in a way where it won't affect the behavior as much as possible. But it's almost impossible. But if you can get that fly on the wall moment where animals are acting naturally, that is kind of what we're striving for. And in a place like that cave, it turns out that that cave was, like the way I like to put it, was like a messaging board location. Animals go in there to mark their territory with scent or just come in and check and see what other animals are around. So it was a place that so many different species were coming to stop by. And it really gives me kind of a census of what animals are in the area and when they're utilizing the area. So then I can go back with that knowledge and, utilize it in any other filming I want to do.
Yeah, that placement there, that's sort of the community gathering spot for who knows what kind of species. And I hear what you're saying about as soon as you try to hide something, it reminds me of the way I behave in the backcountry, probably you as well, is if I see, let's say, a moose and he's over there and I'm just on a hike, I don't alter my behavior. I don't stop and stare at it because I keep walking. And if I'm talking to somebody, I don't whisper and suddenly I keep talking. Like I just maintain what I would do anyway. And I think animals, wildlife pick up on that. They're like, as soon as you try to hide something, whether it's a camera or your attitude, that's when they're like, ears up, what's going on?
You're so right, Jake, because I'll tell you, like, even some of the young guys that work for me, like we'll be out in Yellowstone or whatever, and there'd be some elk out in the meadow, and they want to get closer. And when they naturally like start creeping like this and acting like a predator. And then the elk look at them like, what is this thing doing, right? And it runs away. Whereas if you just walk like a human, something they're used to seeing all the time out there, especially in Yellowstone, they're like, oh, it's just one of those two-legged weirdos that walk around here all the time. And they're fine with it. So yeah, the acting weird or displaying these things in a weird way sometimes makes them more paranoid. If they can look at it, identify it as not a threat, they're cool.
Casey Anderson, wildlife filmmaker. I want to ask you about the whole nature of someone who this is what you do. This is the day job. You shoot not that way. You shoot wildlife, and yet also one of the tools that has become more and more useful in this new age are these trail cams. This is you not behind the camera. Are you okay with removing yourself from that part? And do you truly get stuff you would never get if you were behind the camera? I mean, we've seen across the globe trail cams pick up species doing things we never thought they did, or picking up species we thought long lost, extinct. I mean, it's incredible what these things can capture when we remove us. How hard is it, Casey, to say, I'm not going to be there with this camera? It's relinquishing some control, but boy, the stuff you can get, footage is incredible.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. I think it's that thing. It's technology is allowing us to go and embed ourselves in these secret worlds. Whereas as a person going in there and trying to sit there and wait for 10 years, you can't do it, right? It's impossible.
Yeah.
But technology allows us to do that and discover things that have never been discovered before. I love the technology. It's funny, you said I don't shoot animals, but I'm a hunter. I eat elk. Mm-hmm. And there's something about even camera trapping that I tap into some of the trapping stuff I've learned from old trappers over the years, right? There's an art to it. Like, where do you put these cameras that you're going to get maximum amount of motion around? Where you're going to get, how are you going to place them so the animal doesn't freak out? And so it's kind of cool because we're taking this old school trapping techniques and taking this new school high-tech trapping devices and going out there and telling the really cool stories about animals that have never been told before. And I love it because there is an art to that. Where do you put the camera? When do you put the camera? But then again, then you just let the camera do its thing.
Yeah, totally. It does remind me of trapping. You need to pick the perfect area, the high traffic area where you're guaranteed more foot traffic, but you also have to have concerns like a photographer would and a filmmaker, like where is the light? Where is that coming from? I don't want to be always pointing into the light. I don't know. What are the things you're looking at besides making more of a guarantee you'll find a certain critter at this place? How do you get the best shot? Like, where do you aim it? How do you know even where it's aimed?
Yeah, you're right. No, that you have to consider all those things. I'll just use an example. I had a mission to film a mountain lion on the edge of the Grand Canyon with the Grand Canyon in the background looking like a postcard. That was the mission. So I had to find a spot where mountain lions walk on the edge, where the sun is perfect at the right time, and nail the shot. So what I was looking for, obviously, like you said, where's the sun come up? Where's it go down? What time of the day are the mountain lions moving to this area? Where does this mountain lion put its feet? And cat's a cat. Like, so you look for things like they're going to go to the edge, put their feet up on this little rock so they can look out and over the edge like a cat on a windowsill.
Yeah.
So you find that perfect little spot and you anticipate the behavior that if a cat walks through here, it's going to go up on this little rock and put its feet and look. And so there's all this like behavioral anticipation that you're trying to figure out, along with weather and time and all those things that you mentioned, the sun placement and how the shadows are going to move across the landscape. And then you cross your fingers and you let the technology do its work and let that time play out. And hopefully it pans out. In this case, it did pan out. We got a beautiful shot at this kind of, it really was a holy grail shot. But it took almost a year and a half to make that happen. And we had cats come in and they were too close. Cats came in too far. It was windy. It was snow. The sun wasn't working. But then one day, the sun was beautiful. The sunrise lit up the Grand Canyon. The cat came in, put his feet on the rocks, looked out over it, and it was bang, there it is.
Casey Anderson, wildlife filmmaker, and putting your mind in the mind of whatever species you're trying to get, but thinking like an animal. That's pretty neat. Let's go back to the tech. A couple of things. The cameras in the camera in the bear den. 10 years. I get that it only is running and it's only doing its thing when it senses motion, but still, you're talking about something that's operating for 10 years. My phone doesn't even get through a day, man. How does that happen? What is the battery like? How does the camera? How long can you expect it to operate?
I think, honestly, I think we probably did something that's never been done before at some level. I mean, first and foremost, they're probably more expensive cameras than you can just go buy at Walmart.
Yeah.
We're using Reconyx brand, which is a high-end camera trap. Anybody can buy them, but they are efficient. They're designed to be out there. They're weatherproof. So they are purposely made to run for long periods of time. And then it's honestly like battery choice. Like lithium batteries last longer than nickel cadmium batteries. And then again, like I said, just the placement of the camera. Making sure there's not all these false triggers with grass blowing. Even sometimes the sun moving and shadows will make false triggers. And a lot of time that's the frustrating part that we have when you just use a game camera to go see if there's deer walking up and down the trail, is there's just all these false triggers. And that's how those batteries go dead. And then in the end, man, just like anything, you got to get lucky. And I think that, we got lucky too. So I think with all those things combined, being thoughtful about placement, having the right technology in the place, and then get lucky, and it's how it happened.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, that controlled environment, it's not going to get rained on. It's not going to get any false triggers. It's going to conserve its energy. That's pretty neat. Anywhere you set up a remote cam, is there any way to be informed as to when it got something, or you just have to go check it like your trap line? How do you know? Is there anything you can do online where you can say, "Ooh, I got a hit on this one camera," or not really?
Oh yeah, no. Nowadays, it's there's cellular camera technology. So yeah, I'll get these little pings in the middle of the night for some of my cameras, and I know there's a trigger, and I have to look. I'm like, and then there's a mountain lion walked by it, or a snow leopard walked by it. There's cellular technology, and then we even can build these like radio relays in places there's not cell phone service that will pump it down. So yeah, it's just getting more and more and better. I can be at home and I can be watching 100 cameras at home.
All right, give me an idea of who wins, man or machine. Casey Anderson, what is the most incredible, if you had just one shot, one video, one still that you got of wildlife that was like, wow, that's either perfectly framed, perfect timing, or an animal that's just, wow, I'll never get that again. And who wins? Did you get it, or did one of your remote cams get something that was just outside the box? Give me an idea on both ends of things, what you got that is, wow, I'll never get that again.
Yeah, no, I love that question, man. That's a great question. Man wins. Man wins because you can identify, in a story, in a moment, you can shift a little bit and find that essence that's perfect, right? And the time that I can think of that came to my head as soon as you asked me that, people ask me all the time, what's the craziest shot you get? Was it something killing this or whatever?
Right.
But what it was a puma in Patagonia.
Yeah.
I was watching it and it was getting ready to go for a hunt, and it stopped and it was looking out, but then suddenly it started looking up in the air. Right. And I was inside my vehicle at the time, and I'm like, oh, it must be looking at birds or something. But it was fixated. It was just literally like a statue looking at this thing for a very long time. So I had to get out of the vehicle to go look and see what it was looking at. And as soon as I stepped out, it revealed what it was looking at. And it was just sitting on top of this ridge watching the full moon rise. And so I framed this moment. And for me, it struck me so hard because here I am following and witnessing and trying to document this predator doing the predator things. But in that moment, what it did is it stopped down and it did something that every child of the earth, every being that walks on the earth that I know, I relate to, staring at a beautiful moonrise, right? And just staring at it and taking it all in. And I thought, wow, who'd have thought a puma actually takes the time to stop and watch the moonrise? And it struck me. It made me think a little bit different about everything. And I thought there's those moments that you can't just get lucky with a camera trap. It's those moments that you have to identify, feel the emotion of, and then try to capture it so other people can feel it too.
The machine, the computer, AI, the camera trap would have never thought to flesh that out, to see motion in it, some humanness, and to follow up. Yeah, the camera would just say, there's a puma and he's looking at something. Your experience and your humanness was able to capture a really, really cool shot. Wow. Yeah. That's pretty neat. I want to see that one. Where can I see that one?
I'll send it to you.
Dude, I want to see it. I'm going to share it with our viewers. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll email it to you right away.
Casey, I'm blown away, man. I love the stuff you do. Keep doing it. You're really good at it.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Casey Anderson, read about him and the whole remote cameras in the bear den. That's in the Cowboy State Daily. Mark Hines wrote that. We got to have you on again. Don't be a stranger.
Okay, I won't. Thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend. Casey Anderson popping in. Do I have to take... I think I've taken all my breaks. See, I don't know now. I'm all kinds of messed up. Dang. I think...
Oh, look. Another national expert explaining Wyoming. Oh, look. Another national expert explaining Wyoming. Bless their hearts. Look, don't rely on national experts. We do it all ourselves at Cowboy State Daily Radio. Real news for real Wyomingites who actually live here. We tell it like it is, with headlines that hit harder than a spring blizzard and commentary that cuts through all the bull. Cowboy State Daily Radio. It's Wyoming news. No filter, no fluff, no kidding.
You're listening to the Cowboy State Daily Radio Network.
Wyoming is a place of unlimited potential, a place that inspires us to dream. Since 2014, WyoLotto has given back over $180 million to our great state through transfers, winnings, commissions, and more. Dollars that have gone directly into your cities, towns, and counties. Dollars that have changed lives and set dreams in motion. Thank you, Wyoming, for a legendary 10 years. We can't wait to dream up what's next.
might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. You may not even know you have it, but you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand. With early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Yeah, making our way towards the end of this finally Friday edition of the Cowboy State Daily Show with Jake. Thanks for spending the morning with us, the day with us, the week with us. And again, just in case you've had disruptions on your end of the thing, yeah, we know I had a power outage here in studio. It's only the second time that has happened. What are you going to do? I mean, is technology just highlights our dependence on electricity, right? We can't do anything without juice. And yeah, we lost electricity here in the studio briefly, kind of like it's been that kind of a week, right? In the Cody area, there was 911 went down. There was that cut fiber optic cable Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The more dependent we are on technology, the more we're reminded every once in a while that that's probably not a great thing when it goes away. Oops. Speaking of internet outages, they had one in Iran right now. Iran leaders have shut down internet as they are now in day 12 of uprisings in Tehran and other big cities in Iran. The people, anti-government protests in Iran are really accelerating. At one end, you got people who upset at their leadership to the point where they want to collapse the country, the currency, the everything. People have had it with Iran and its leaders. And meanwhile, to put the clamp down on things, Iran has pulled the plug on their internet. So there's no longer any info coming out of Iran. Not that there ever is. It's not one of the more transparent countries. But internet shut down. They've gone dark in Iran. And President Donald Trump has warned Iranian authorities repeatedly that if they don't get it together, if they continue violence and hostility on protesters, that Washington will come to their rescue. Interesting words from Washington, D.C., right? You got protesters in Minneapolis that are dealt with in one way, and then President Trump promising protesters in Iran, in a Middle East country, that he'll come riding in like the knight in shining armor. He'll defend them, not shoot them. Interesting. Crazy times we're living in. NetBlocks, an internet watchdog, says it shows data out of Iran right now is at 0. As in, yeah, their internet has gone off. Kind of like it did for us just moments ago. Well, that'll do it for the week and the weekend. And this Friday, Cowboy State Daily Show with Jake wraps up. Hey, don't forget, we got a Saturday edition going again. Catch Jeff Rickett tomorrow, same time, same place on the Cowboy State Daily Show, Saturday edition with Jeff. For now, y'all have a great weekend.
Good morning. This is the Cowboy State Daily Morning Show with Jake. The new way Wyoming wakes up.